Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of my team selector ahead of the game away to Newcastle on Saturday in the Premier League. It's the lunchtime kickoff and it's a big game for Chelsea. I feel that these next 10 games are going to be defining, especially in relation to our Premier League sort of title hopes and credentials. They're really going to be tested in these next 10 games, and it absolutely starts with Newcastle on Saturday, and we'll get into why Newcastle away has been such a dreaded trip for Chelsea over the years. But the best thing is the international break, the final international break of 2020 is over. The next one isn't until March 2021. So now we get into the serious stuff, the proper bulk of this Premier League season for Chelsea, and of course the Champions League, the FA Cup arriving in the new year as well. So it's big now, and we get into really the meat of the season basically. And I think in terms of Chelsea in recent years, I spoke about this with Eunice the other day, that in recent times, the post sort of November international break is usually where Chelsea start to falter in the season after quite optimistic starts. Let's hope finally Chelsea can break this recent winter curse, because it really has derailed some promising seasons. You know, go back to Conte in 17-18, Sarri in 18-19, and last season with Lampard. So let's hope we can kickstart off this next period of the season really positively. Team news: Frank Lampard confirming that Christian Pulisic is out. That's what I talked about yesterday on Let's Talk Chelsea. Although he is out of the game, Frank seemed pretty optimistic about his training being improved, a bit more intense. So hopefully Pulisic will be back pretty soon as we go into these really important games. Kai Havertz is a bit confusing as I make this video, because Frank didn't rule out Kai Havertz. He did say, obviously he's just come out of self-isolation. He's doing some individual training at the moment, isn't really doing proper training, but didn't rule him out of the game. Unless he forgot to say that Havertz is absolutely out of the game, he could potentially still be involved. So there is confusion over that. THIAGO Silva, once again, like the last international break, the game following that international break was Southampton, of course. THIAGO Silva didn't feature because of travelling back late from Brazil international duty. It appears it's going to be the same case this time away to Newcastle. Probably won't be involved in the squad on Saturday, which is a disappointment as well. And I think highlights why not having any more international breaks till March is a real positive for Lampard, for such an important player like THIAGO Silva in his defence. But let's get into this Newcastle trip, the dread of this Newcastle trip. And absolutely, I've got dread anytime Chelsea have to go up to St James's Park, because the record at St James's Park for Chelsea has truly been dreadful. Just look at this. And this was our last 15 games, last 15 Premier League games at St James's Park, going all the way back to the 03-04 season. We've lost 7 of our last 15 Premier League games at St James's Park, only winning 4. And it's just been terrible. It really has. And it seems no matter the circumstance, no matter the team, like there are some really good Chelsea teams within there that have won Premier League titles, that have gone up to St James's Park in pretty good form and still come away with nothing. It's a really challenging ground. I wonder, as Eunice said in the collab we did the other day about this game, that the key factor of no fans within St James's Park could be of real benefit to Chelsea this time, and could really sort of open the game up a bit more for Chelsea, sort of that hostile crowd that can get on top of you and can really help Newcastle get through difficult periods within games. I wonder if that's going to really benefit Chelsea. As we've seen since basically Project Restart, home advantage isn't as important anymore, and let's hope that's the case for Chelsea to break this dreadful record at St James's Park recently. And Newcastle have been absolutely inconsistent so far this season. Just looking at their previous Premier League game, they lost their last game 2-0 to Southampton, but won their last home game against Everton 2-1, who were in good form at the time. In terms of their form in the Premier League overall in the opening 8 games, Newcastle have won 3 games, but also lost 3 games and got 2 draws. In terms of the formation expected, Steve Bruce sort of started the season with a 4-4-2, but has moved recently back to a 3-5-2. I'd expect a 3-5-2, a more low block, very defensive setup against Chelsea, like he did, I believe, in both games last season. One to great effect, winning the game 1-0. Both of the games against Newcastle last season were really tight affairs, both ending 1-0, one to Chelsea at home, and of course losing very late on at St James's Park last season. Going into this game, and Newcastle, like Chelsea, have injury concerns, but much worse really. Dubravka, Shelvey, Gale, Fraser and Ritchie are all out, and Callum Wilson, who scored some goals already for them this season, is a doubt for the game as well. But going into this game and sort of thinking about how Chelsea are going to approach it, I think, in terms of these are the type of games where you want to see major improvement from Chelsea. Not only, as I've addressed, the history history at St James's Park, but against low blocks. That's something Chelsea really struggled with last season, and I think that one man is going to change that this season. We saw this in the Sheffield United game before the international break, and that is Hakim Ziyech. Absolutely devastating. Looking at Ziyech in that last few games, and basically since he's returned from injury, how good he's been. No one has set up more big chances per 90 minutes than Ziyech, who's creating almost 4 per match at the moment. In his last appearance against Sheffield United, he made 6 key passes, the most by a player in any match in 2021. And especially that sharp movement and the intensity we saw within Chelsea's play, very much being led by Hakim Ziyech. But it's not only down to Ziyech, it's down to the width from the fullbacks that we've seen recently to great effect. Also, Tammy Abraham leading the line very well and getting those midfield runners, because that's the big thing in these games where being too static, too slow, players staying in position, not getting off the ball runners, that's the real difficulty of this game. And luckily, in the previous 2 games against Burnley and Sheffield United, 2 defences that sort of sat deep for a lot of the game, Chelsea were able to break them down pretty effectively. So let's hope that's the same on Saturday. But let's go into my team. 4-3-3 is going to be the formation. Edouard Mendy in goal. Reece James at right back. He was absolutely exceptional before the international break. So let's hope he continues that fine form at right back, really nailing down that place now in Chelsea's defence. The back to Kurt Zouma, and then you're sort of asking the question, who partners Kurt Zouma? I think Frank will do the same that he did against Krasnodar a few weeks back. Antonio Rudiger will come in alongside Kurt Zouma. I have no issue if Fikayo Tomori was to start. I'd actually love Fikayo Tomori to get an opportunity here, but I just think based realistically on what I've seen from Frank so far this season, Rudiger coming in against Krasnodar, I think that was a massive sign of sort of intent that Rudiger still has a place within Chelsea, even as sort of a fringe player at the moment. So I think Rudiger will start, and hopefully, if all was good, Ben Chilwell will start as well at left back. So only one change to the back 5 that started against Sheffield United. Midfield 3, I think it's going to be the same one that started against Sheffield United as well. N'Golo Kante sitting at the base of midfield. He's been exceptional recently. He really has. It was great to see him play so well and score the winner against Portugal for France last weekend, proving his brilliant form and how key he is to Chelsea at the moment. And another player who had a really good international break was Mateo Kovacic. Set up a goal last time for Tammy Abraham, but also scored twice for Croatia. Let's hope he can continue that good goal scoring form at St James's Park on Saturday. And Mason Mount performing well for the England side, playing all 3 games for England. That's how vital he is for Gareth Southgate, like he is for Frank Lampard. But Mason, I'm sure, will be starting the game once again. But going into my front 3, Hakim Ziyech, the wizard, now very much finding his feet at Stamford Bridge. So let's hope he has a fine performance on Saturday again. I think Timo Werner will start on the left once again. There could be a call for Callum Hudson-Odoi to start here in rotation. I just think Frank is not going to veer too much away unless, Timo has some sort of fitness or fatigue based off his games for Germany recently. I think Werner is likely to start once again. He's scoring goals consistently now for Chelsea, so I think he'll be in the team again. And I also think Tammy Abraham will be leading the line once again because he's been brilliant recently. He really has, and he's earned his place in his starting 11. He's showing that his movement, dropping a little bit deeper, really elevating the games of attackers sort of behind him and around him as well. I think Tammy absolutely deserves to start once again for Frank Lampard. So this is my team selector for the game on Saturday. Please let me know your lineups in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonofChelsea, and I'll see you again.